Welcome to the Learning Reinvented Podcast, brought to you by myself, James Poletyllo, and the team at The Learning Effect. There are lots of podcasts out there, so we wanted to do something slightly different. In this episode, we'll be discussing the opportunity that most companies are missing when they approach learning. To discuss this topic and share his expertise, I am delighted to welcome Panos Siozos to the podcast. Welcome, Panos.
Hi, James. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
It's an absolute pleasure. We really appreciate you taking your time to join us today. Do you want to introduce yourself to our listeners and tell them a little bit about you and your background?
Gladly, happy to do so. So my name is Panos Siozos. If you can just make it out from our name, I'm Greek originally. I have a PhD in educational technology, more specifically in computer-assisted assessment. And with my two co-founders, we've been working in the e-learning space for more than 25 years. So in fact, we built our very first learning management system back in 1999 as part of an academic research project. And since then, we've been designing and building e-learning applications. And in 2014, we launched LearnWorlds, a platform for creating and selling online courses. So we are a SaaS platform for course creators, professional trainers, and larger enterprises who either want to sell online courses or educate whatever audiences they may have, internal audiences like customers, employees, or external audiences out there, and even sell online courses. And right now we have more than 11,000 customers, and happy to share our learnings with your audience.
Fabulous, Panos. So you've had a significant experience in e-learning, been around almost since the beginning, and that passion shows through. You've got a series of expertise as well. And one of those areas I know you're very passionate about is about how learning can be used as a strategic lever. Do you want to explain what you mean by this and why you think it's so important?
Learning is something that we believe here at LearnWorlds is it's probably the only real human superpower that we possess. So it's a capacity to really transform people, processes, businesses, societies, and everything that we have. And in many cases, while we also take it for granted. So let's say people in our age, we have been through the formal education system. We have been through our bachelor degrees and our master's degrees. And in many cases, we fail to identify the opportunities that lie out there and the need for constant learning and constant training and retraining. And I think that especially in today's time and age, when we go into the AI world, I guess that is just opening up, the need for constant training and retraining is even more important. And this is something that every organization has to, and every person for themselves has really to have a really good look at what their job, what their current skills, what their current state is, and how they can keep learning. Many companies are quite especially smaller companies are quite reluctant to do this. In many cases, they consider that a formal education strategy is something only that the big guys can afford. If you can have an L&D team, if you can have the instructional designers or the experts to do out there. But we believe that this should be at the forefront and top of mind for everyone, no matter how big or small their business, no matter what is that they do. They need to learn, always identify new opportunities should be always at the very first of what we consider. And this is especially through LearnWorlds. We discovered this also through the eyes and lens of our customers. While we started, for example, as a company, giving them offering to customers our e-learning platform, I have to say that almost every day we discover a new business model and a new way that people can take advantage of the knowledge that they create and the ways adding value to their business through the ways that they disseminate this knowledge. And we consider a privilege and to be the stewards of these kinds of use cases that we see, all these business models, and to disseminate this information out there, show to people how they can take advantage of learning, both to grow their teams, to grow their businesses, to create new revenue streams, and to adapt to an ever faster evolving business landscape out there.
I think that's really interesting. You've shared that maybe the smaller companies don't see that as their remit because it's only the bigger guys. So, that's something I'd certainly like to explore. But you also sort of touched on the fact that you're learning constantly from your customers almost in the use cases that are coming through. So let's just unpack that one. Do you want to share some of the things that your customers have taught you, or the things that have surprised you, or things that you think are worth sharing with our audience?
Yeah, of course, happy to. I have to say that in the beginning, when we first started having our customers and we started learning how they also sell, our first customers were on the entrepreneurial side of learning, so they were selling online courses. We were evolving with them, and we were evolving the platform with them. So one example I can share it as in the very beginning, 10 years ago, people were mostly selling courses as a one-off. So you were buying a course, you were paying a single amount of money, and you had lifetime access to the course. But this is something that doesn't make sense, both in terms of the actual course content and how quickly it gets obsolete, and whether you should be constantly updating the knowledge. And we understand today, in the era of AI, that no content can remain static for a few months and not become obsolete. But also, as a business model, it doesn't make sense to just get money once from your customers. This is why gradually people gravitated towards selling bundles of courses and eventually subscriptions. So a Netflix type approach, a software as a service approach, also for accessing content. So we were learning along with our customers how to do these things. When it comes to our own business use case of using education, I have to say that we were also kind of intimidated in using our platform to teach our customers how to use our software. That's a very classic use case, customer training, how you can educate your customers, whether you offer a software or a service or a complex product, a physical product as well. Customer education seems like a self-evident way of activating your customers and help them take 100% out of what you offer. But we were, I have to say, kind of perfectionists. We always wanted to create an amazing experience, like the best companies and the biggest companies out there. And we realized that this perfectionism was standing in our way of what we could do in some cases. So I have to say that a big inflection point for everyone who is at least on our side of the more entrepreneurial side of learning was COVID, when we realized that we don't have to be perfect, we have to be fast. We have to take our knowledge out there. We don't have to produce the best looking Hollywood grade video, but in some cases giving accurate, useful information and putting it out there in front of people. This can really have a transformational effect. So for us, that was really an inflection point. And after that, we kept insisting, both internally and externally, convincing our customers to publish fast, iterate, create prototypes and MVPs of their content, of their courses, and really continue enhancing and updating constantly this kind of content. So this is where we start. So it's a startup approach also in the development and the delivery of content. You don't wait to create the perfect product. You just publish something fast, you iterate, you stay relevant, you stay connected with your users, you keep updating your content, and you evolve constantly. And this is especially fitting also to take us back to the first point. This is especially fitting with the tools that we have now for smaller businesses. So now a smaller business who has they are working on a niche, or they have a very particular product or project and not enough resources. There are tools today also using AI to really create content fast, to repurpose content, to provide it transform it in different ways, and with a very small team to provide an experience that looks very professional and very ready for people to consume. So now I think we have what like a democratization also of learning and education. A small, a nimble and agile team with the right tools can really create amazing content and offer amazing experiences. And a platform like ours can be a means to that. So I'm not just plugging my platform here. There are lots of very flexible tools out there that can help a team be very efficient and very effective, and with a fraction of the cost provide tons of value to their customers, educating them to be best at what they're doing.
And I think, you've pulled out a load of really important points there. So if I go back in my career, there's been times where the whole learning creation cycle was so slow. By the time anything was developed, it was so perfect, but so out of date and so irrelevant because it had been through multiple sign-offs. It had the Hollywood design treatment that you talk about. And you look at that, and then that often used to just land. And another point you made is one event, and it doesn't really change behavior. One event doesn't change behavior. It's practice, it's iteration, it's evolution. So I think we have seen those things change, and there were some people who were ahead of the curve, if I'd say that, before COVID. And then we saw rapidly everyone sort of concertina up because they had to. So it forced a transformation of some sort. I'm personally not always sure that the solutions done are great, because I still don't think people get what they're trying to achieve, that sometimes it's still about events or still about pushing out perfect content. But you're talking more around sort of MVPs and the stuff you'll be doing within LearnWorlds around product development and testing new stuff. The same should be the point of learning teams, is we're working in an ever evolving world, whether AI has really revolutionized that or just it's something we've always been doing. It's maybe just got a bit quicker, but that ability for teams to test, iterate, build, and for the democratization of the skills back into the team. So I know that creates challenges where people see themselves as a niche specialist, but often in those small teams, you get the most creativity. I know I've often been the first person into a business running learning, and you end up having to do everything. So I'm by no means an expert videographer or this or that or the other. I can do those things to a level, but then you can bring in expertise or you can tap into things. But the tools have got so much more sophisticated that small teams can do so much more. And often it's just their imagination or their company's perceived attitudes of learning sometimes, I think, hold us back, because people think learning should be this thing, this event, this outcome, this certificate, and I think it can be so much more.
I really agree, James, and indeed we we opened up many things, but they are also interconnected. And I think the beginning of this misperception and misconception comes from our own institutionalized academic experiences, where learning is very formal. You have your handbooks and you have things that have been set in stone, and you expect this to be a slow formal process that has some big checkpoints, and it has some kind of exams in the end and some kind of result in form of a certificate or a degree or something like that, which is great. But it's a model of the previous century, not even that. It's 150-year-old model. So now going into the era of AI, where content really becomes a commodity, where content is like knowledge is becoming obsolete, has a half time measured in months or weeks or days. Like, you cannot afford to have all this slow waterfall method of development where you go through all these approvals and through all this design. And we were already seeing glimpses of that in the production stage, because you had faster tools, prototyping tools. It was easier to create and push out web assets instead of what we were doing 25 years ago with CD-ROMs or anything else. Like, obviously, the means of production were much faster. You were able to provide value faster. But now this also comes within the scope of the content itself. So the actual knowledge that you create, there are ways now, obviously using AI to I can give an easy example. Instead of going to one of these library courses and get some kind of institutional formal class, if you want to educate your employees on cybersecurity, for example, still the usual example is to go out there and get one of these courses. And you know that by the time you have it, it's already old. It's already probably obsolete, and you will already there are things missing. Or you can start looking internally to your own experts, to your own team, the niche within your own team where they know the problems of your and the challenges of your customers. They know the intricate issues of your software or of your solution, and you can help them to develop the content. Will they become ever, or should they ever become content developers and designers by themselves? No, but you can assist them. You can give them a framework, and you can take over other parts. And we are seeing that increasingly, that this is where the democratization comes in place, where a company doesn't need to have, and probably might be quite slow if they have a full institutional approach on how they develop content. We see much faster results when there is delegation, independence, and people can take their own decisions on the spot. If they have access to the tools, and if they can create courses themselves. So, trickling down, having a global strategy for a big company, by the time you reach the ends, it's already too late. While having a decentralized bottom-up approach where people can create the content that they need to train their co-workers, or to train their customers, to train their partners, we see this as a interesting and effective strategy. Because in this time and age, speed is a strategy by itself. So you have to be very fast. You have to keep to keep ahead of the curve, and iterating. You can also get the quality. You can also get the quantity, but speed is of essence on its own.
And I think there's some really interesting evolutions, even in the mindset of learning teams and organizations, because learning used to be a control function. So it would control the messaging and communication into a business. It can't be a control function anymore. If it does, it disables the business because it slows it down and goes anti the speed message you're talking about. But what we then see is learning's role is to empower that democratization and to facilitate organizations being able to get those subject matter experts or whoever else that is in a position, as you said, not to be learning designers, but maybe have the architecture and infrastructure and machine that allows them to do that, whether that's the physical system, whether that's the internal policies and culture. All of those things come together. And if we don't have all of that in place, you can find you become knocking your head. So you can have the best system in the world. And we see a lot of this in the work we do, is that an organization just wants to switch out the system because it's not working. It's not the system that's not working. It's the organizational culture. You could put any system into that culture and it's not going to achieve the aims or the outside or the expressed aims of fighting against the policies, the processes and everything else. So I'd be really interested to see how you've been helping customers on that evolution, because across 11,000 customers, you must see the enlightened people who get where you're talking from, and then you get other people who are looking to do something very different. So how do you help and support customers on that evolution and to know where they're adding value?
Thanks for the question. I have to say here that we are learning along with our top customers, and we always try to share the information because we are also facing the same issues as most of them. Like, we have a growing customer base, we have a product that is evolving very fast, lots of organizational knowledge being created all across the business. So even ourselves, as we were growing, we felt the need to decentralize and democratize the ownership of the learning and empower people, give them the framework, but empower them to keep creating content. Because especially like speed, as I said before, is extremely important, but also context. And this is something that we also understand in the space of AI, where if you don't provide to an LLM the right context, it's very generic, blunt, and it doesn't give you anything of importance. So in an organization that is growing, that is learning fast, the people are the context, the ones who work on a specific position, on a specific role, so they understand what they need to do, not some L&D expert that comes from the other part of the, or is in a short-term contract, or comes in and tries to extract information from people. They will never go to the root of it. But if you provide people with a framework of the tools, they have the context, and you help them create content themselves, and within a structured framework, and disseminate this content, they can create miracles. That's something that we have seen internally, and we've seen our best customers do that. And especially AI now is supercharging this learning creation, because now, even if you don't know the language, you're not perfect in the language, you're not perfect in writing content for by yourself, with some smart prompting and prompt engineering, you can get some amazing results and have an amazing tone of voice, the right kind of expression and vocabulary to express anything that you like. So this is something that's something that in the first days of, let's say, ChatGPT and the LLMs, our customers were craving to understand, were desperate to understand how they could use that. We worked a lot with them before doing anything on the product side to understand what are their needs, what are their aspirations when it comes to using LLMs, and what are their most mission critical needs. We work with them. We created a framework of prompt engineering and providing context on how you can be, how even a lay person within a team can become, with some smart prompt engineering, a very, very capable L&D powered course creator. And this is something that once we verified that in the field and we saw that it worked, we brought it into the product side. So now within the LearnWorlds product, you can go in, if you have a sense of, if you know a subject matter, and everyone knows their stuff, we can be their co-pilot, learning the instructional designer on their side, and help them to put this in the right format, with great suggestions about what type of content they should create, in what media form, help them to express things and write scripts, convert texts into multiple choice questions, using the Bloom taxonomy, and do all this heavy lifting that a small team cannot do easily. So it will require a huge team to do stuff. So one of the things that people usually understand as an example quite easily is creating multiple choice questions. And this can be a huge chore for anyone who has taught from a primary school all the way to whatever classes. Like, we wanted to create the experience, and we have achieved that, where you upload your PDF, your PowerPoint, or whatever, and you can ask it to create for you 100 multiple choice questions of varying difficulty based on the Bloom taxonomy, and organize them. So you can have an amazing question bank to choose from in order to provide your courses. And also, people in their day-to-day, they need efficiency. They cannot. We have this ideal of learning that happens when you have infinite resources, but this is not reality, especially not in a business that is trying to achieve results. So no teacher now in any form or stage of education can have the time to provide truly personalized feedback to all their students, regardless of whether they're teaching in kindergarten or university or in a corporate setting. So we're quite proud about some of the things that we put into the LearnWorlds platform, like the possibility, like, let's say we created this multiple choice test with the 100 questions, and then you give that to 1,000 students. So for LLMs are extremely good in being able to help you to provide truly personalized feedback to 1,000 people who have their own path, and their own. They provided their own answers, and they have their own unique combination of mistakes and correct answers. So this is where something like AI can really shine to give this efficiency and effectiveness within an organized framework without requiring infinite resources from an organization. So this can be truly transformational, and we truly believe that this is the correct way, let's say, of introducing AI in the mix, helping content creators and educators to achieve optimal results, not by replacing them, but by enhancing them and opening up space for them to be their best, to do what they're truly good at identifying the opportunities and creating the frameworks for this kind of training facilities within organization.
And I think, again, some really important things there, because the fear of being replaced, or the fear of inaccuracy, or the fear of AI being unleashed on things, all of that scaremongering that goes on around AI. But you've talked about that, taking the time to understand it, to refine it, then to bring it into the product when it's tested, make sure that's then deployed, and adding value where people don't have the time, and where AI is the expert assistance and can do the right job. And I think often people misunderstand that whole process of AI implementation in whatever they're doing. It has to be that way. You can't just flip it in and put it in without doing those steps, with multiple layers under it. I've just simplified those, but to reassure people that is what good companies are doing when they're putting AI into products. Not everyone does that, and that's where your approach and your due diligence when you're looking at where AI goes in, because AI is often just feels like a marketing term, and when you really scratch the surface, there's not a lot of AI going on sometimes in things. But for our audience, I would always encourage them to, positively test that and engage in the conversations with the suppliers, and, debate and talk about where can that add value. And I think that's really important, because we need to think about the possibilities of where learning's going. Because one of the things I've seen, even in the AI revolution, it feels like the gold rush a little bit to me, where people are jumping on the bandwagon and suddenly producing this and this and this, and you can waste a lot of money without making some good choices on that journey. Because where you started out, and say you take the large language model like a chat GPT, and you had initially, it was relatively basic compared to where it is now. Now it can lead you through the whole journey, because it's learning and learning more about things. So you put in a decent initial prompt, and then it's prompting you on the next stage and the next stage. So we can be led through that. So some of the things people are maybe learning up front, they don't need to know, but what people need to know is the context. What can it do? What can't it do? What should your role be? How do you partner with these things? So I think there's some really important things you pulled out in the practicality of how you and the team are putting AI in. With that in mind, and with the challenged economies around the world and all sorts of disruption and various things going on, and learning teams feeling under pressure as well, because I know there's lots of challenge to do more with less, and or AI can do your job for you, or you don't need to replace your team members. So with all of that context and AI and everything else going on, what do you see as the major changes coming up over the next 12 to 18 months for L&D in the world of learning?
Just to start a bit from a couple of the points that you touched upon, what we are saying to our customers is that first of all, learning is a deeply human trait, and I'm always very skeptical. I agree that AI is a marketing term. I'm also anthropomorphizing in some cases, and using learning or remembering or asking it or whatever. I think it's natural, because again, because we are humans, and we tend to be. These things have been designed to mimic humans and to try to invoke this kind of responses from us. So what we are telling our customers is that they will not be replaced by an AI. but they can very well be replaced by somebody who is using AI to be efficient and effective and do 10 times the work that they are doing. So we consider this also as part of our mission to help explain it and to show what are its limitations, but also in capabilities, and try to make people much better and more efficient in their work. So the same way it's like our software makes it possible for people to create like a huge customer education academy and train thousands of people and really easily create and design and author content. We consider this as another extension of software. And AI, yes, is a marketing term. We were recently in a large exhibition in London, learning technologies exhibition, and we were saying, I saw multiple people doing the same test. They were trying to see whether a single booth exists in the whole expo that didn't have AI, first with big letters. And there's another sanity check that I'm sure you've seen. People whenever they see, and I'm trying to do that every time now in the e-learning space. Whenever I see AI, I put my finger on it and I try to see if it makes sense if you remove the AI, because the AI is, in some cases, might just be a simple pattern matching algorithm and nothing really important. So we believe that we need to keep understanding how to be more efficient and effective with AI or GPTs, LLM, or whatever the term. We need to educate our customers and show them how to be effective, but we also need to provide real practical hands-on applications, and we do that now at a very fast pace, of helping them save time, helping them be more efficient, helping them do a better job on the field, on their day-to-day, saving time from them, so they can learn more. They can focus time on the other things, the creativity and the human connection and the follow-up, and on forming live, engaged communities of practice with their students. Doing the human part of the equation that the LLM cannot do or can poorly imitate now. So what we see, first of all, we see the push already in our customers and in our own business to be even more productive, and in some cases to have a smaller headcount using AI. So we see more and more this trend that, okay, if we cannot hire another person to help you with online courses because you have AI, so first you have to exhaust all the possibilities. This is already a very valid a concern, and something that is happening now. So we don't have an option to not see what possibilities we have for increased productivity through AI. That's something, I guess, that it's already out of the box. I really believe that the tools will keep continuing offering better results. We already see that from one generation to the next, the output can be far better. And from what we understand, also in the next year, there's going to be increased focus on lowering the costs of the output, even if you keep the quality same, to at least have lesser cost, because we will have need for more and more usage of ChatGPTs. What we also perceive will happen in the next few months is ChatGPT is trying to get more parts of informal education. It's quite easy for one big company that runs a huge LLM to start creating mini courses for informal learning. Like if you want to learn something for your own personal use. So they will become better at that for the informal learning, for the things that you might learn for your hobbies, and for all these things. So more people will come to need and use online learning. But we also believe that in the corporate setting, companies will try to protect their data. They will try to protect more of their in situ context, the knowledge that they have internally. So they will be less and less inclined to share this with a generic company that can copy that. So I believe we will have even more need for learning. We will probably have even more space and time for doing learning. I think a big part of the informal education will happen increasingly on the LLMs, like in the past few years it was happening on YouTube, or you wanted to find something for a hobby, you were just searching for a video where somebody might have done something like this. But in the corporate setting, there will be more need for faster, decentralized, contextualized content creation in multiple forms, multiple languages, multiple types of media. So we will have more need for platforms like LearnWorlds or similar, or for the need to easily create content in every organization. So we really see that the bar for creation will be lower, and more people will have to do that. And do that faster. That's like my 2 cents, if it makes any sense.
Absolutely. And what do you see yourself and LearnWorlds doing to support that? So have you got anything specific that you're focused on or looking at to support organizations and people through those challenges?
We are actively working on this. First of all, we're trying to make sure that we are also at the top of our productivity. So also internally, we are transforming ourselves into an AI-powered organization, trying to give the best tools and the best context and training to our own employees so that they can be the best versions of themselves and quite productive and efficient versions, but also with our customers, co-designing and learning from their own needs. We are always trying to bring small, actionable, practical features at their hands. Put them out there in the wild and co-evolve them through the feedback and the needs of our customers. So this month, for example, we are launching about 10 different AI features, from the personalized feedback that I was mentioning to the possibility to create content in more ways, helping also not necessarily the content creation, but also in the automation and the management of their own schools. So because running an online school or handling enrollments, certifications, analytics, and all this stuff, there is space for AI efficiency, gains of efficiency in every aspect. So we are trying to do that, but not in a theoretical top-down way. We're doing that by offering features and giving them at the hands of our customers, see how they work in the wild, and then continue and expand for there. So I think there are millions of opportunities for that. And again, our mode as a business is speed, because in today's age, it's easy to copy stuff. It's easy to also code will become probably a kind of a trivial thing, a commodity and a trivial thing to do. But the knowledge that we have about our customers, the things that we are learning from our customers, and being able to quickly iterate with them and give them things to do is a huge moat for the business, and something that can help us keep ahead of the curve.
Absolutely, and sounds like some exciting innovations coming, and that those will keep evolving as time goes on. Panos, I think we could carry on for hours having this conversation, but I'd like to thank you for joining us today. If people have been interested in what you shared or want to know more about yourself or LearnWorlds, how should they do that?
First of all, they can always connect with me on LinkedIn by using my name, and obviously visiting our website, www.learnworlds.com, where they can learn about the latest evolutions of our product. And if they're interested in what they do, they can always start a free trial and connect with our team to explore together how we can help them use some of the things that we're talking about, how they can use education and learning and training to grow their business.
Fabulous, thank you. We'll make sure all of those links to both your LinkedIn, LearnWorlds, etc., are in the show notes that anyone can access if they listen to the podcast. Panos, thank you again for joining us today.
Thanks, James, for the opportunity.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Learning Reinvented podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. If you've not already done so, please follow our podcast. And if the Learning Effect can help you and your organisation, please do get in touch. You can find both James and Katie on LinkedIn, and our contact details are in the show notes below.